Okay, Nate, today you wanted to talk about enlightenment.
Yeah, well, I've always thought about what enlightenment was. I've always been interested in like Buddhist philosophy. So I suppose is enlightenment about finding happiness, meaning, and satisfaction in life and living a rewarding life? Well, you know, quite a few years ago now, about 7 years ago, I had a big breakdown because some things went wrong for me, which I won't go into. It's not the point. But some terrible things happened and I had a big breakdown. And I hit rock bottom because I wasn't satisfied with the things that had unfolded in my life. But my conclusion from all of it was what I think enlightenment is. See, both Jesus and the Buddha talked about living without material possessions. And they said that living without material possessions and without worldly possessions was the path to enlightenment. Now, how I've come to interpret that is to say that it's not so much about living without material possessions will give you enlightenment. It's about being able to be satisfied and fulfilled in absence of material wealth. It's about having a deeper satisfaction, a deeper sense of reward and meaning than material wealth could provide. So that's to say, I understand. Imagine that I have millions of dollars and I have everything in the world that I could possibly want. And I'm very grateful because I understand that my life is finite, the universe is finite, and I will die. I understand my mortality. So I have all this material wealth. Then I lose it all for whatever reason. I lose all my material wealth. I lose my mansions. I lose my millions of dollars. And I'm on the street. But because I have this enlightened understanding of my place in the universe, I understand that I'm mortal and I'm finite and the universe is finite and everything's going to end anyway. I am satisfied just to be alive, just to be me, and I can be out in the bush and I can be sitting under a tree and I can have nothing, no material wealth, no food, nothing to survive with, but I have a sense of happiness because I understand, I exist. At least I exist, because I understand that one day I won't exist, and one day the universe won't exist, and one day all recollection and memory of me will cease to exist entirely, and it will be as if I never existed, and nothing will exist anymore, as if nothing ever existed. And I understand that, so I appreciate that precious moment. Even though it's a moment in poverty where I have no material wealth, I've lost all my possessions, I'm living in the bush under a tree, I don't know what I'm going to eat, but I appreciate that moment because that is a moment where I exist in this finite universe where everything will cease to exist. I still exist. So I don't need the material wealth to be happy. I don't need the material possessions to be happy. I'm happy just to know I exist. One day I won't exist. One day nothing will exist, so in this moment I exist, and that is enough to be satisfied. So that's really what I think enlightenment is. It's when you really truly appreciate every precious moment because you understand that everything is finite. So, that and that's how I feel most of the time now. I still get depressed about my circumstances sometimes, but I've grappled with my mortality extensively over the last few years. So at the end of the day, every day that passes, every day that I wake up in the morning, I'm satisfied just to live another day because I know I will die, and everyone will die, and the universe will die, and it will be as if none of this ever happened, as if nothing ever happened at all. So like a guy said to me the other day, he had heard a saying, and I thought this saying was fantastic because it's a very true saying. He said, you die 3 deaths, right? You die your first death when you realise you're mortal and you realise that you're going to die. Then you die your second death when you die. And then the third death is when the last person ever speaks your name and your entire memory is forgotten to oblivion. That's your third death. And that's the reality of life because everything will be forgotten. The universe will end. It's finite. And then everything will be forgotten. So we have to appreciate the precious moment that we live in, and appreciate that in this second, whether I'm in poverty or whether I've been abused or raped or taken advantage of, regardless of whether I have the means to survive, at least in this moment I exist. So it's really about just appreciating the moment and appreciating that you exist in this moment and that you are in this universe, and for this time being, try and smile and be happy just that you exist, because one day it's all going to be over. So you can still have material possessions, and there's still room for material possessions, and material possessions will give you better quality of life, and they will give you more joy, and this is the security from having the money to buy the things you need to survive, and having the control of the resources that you need to survive and to be comfortable so you can pursue the things you want. But try to be satisfied even in absence of material wealth, and be satisfied just simply to be yourself, an entity living in this brief flicker of existence which we have to enjoy. So that's how I interpret enlightenment.